Sad news this morning here on the sporting front and also for the station. As many of you may know about this, but many may not, that a great Spartan, a great broadcaster and announcer, Eric O. for Seth, has passed on up in Traverse City, his home away from home, at the age of 91. Eric, met him when I first came here 30 plus years ago. He was very gracious, also very funny. He had a he had a zinging sense of humor. The Scandahoovian, I called him, and he was all things behind the mic for Michigan State, whether it was Jenison Fieldhouse, Breslin Center, Spartan Stadium. The kick would go through, and he would go, the point after try, pause, pause, pause. Yes! The crowd would go crazy. I mean, he really was excellent. And at WILS, he had quite a run. Better part of 20 years. DJ hosted all the big dances at the old Civic Arena. Everybody in town knew Eric, and he knew them. He came up to me more than once at Walnut Hills in a charity outing. He had a house on the 14th tee. And I'm in my backswing. He's like, excuse me, young man, well, do you need some refreshment? I'll miss that. Eric O. is 91, and we will collectively miss him. No regrets having known him, though. No regrets at all. It's great to have people like that in and around you in your life, but having too many regrets can be, it's a lot to overcome. I mean, you start carrying around a lot of burden that way, don't you? Let's talk about it today with our good friend, Dr. John Braccio. drjohnb.com is where the podcast resides. Regional Psychological Services in East Lansing, and I think a longtime fan of Eric O. as well. Good morning, Doc. Welcome.
Well, good morning to you, and that is true. I do feel bad about Eric O. Life is a wheel, and we just live on. People live on with the memories that we have of them, and there'll be many for him. That's very true. Now, talking about regrets, there certainly aren't many regrets from having known him or talked to him or experienced him over many, many years. With that said, regret is something people don't talk about a lot, but it's really a common, strong emotion we all experience when we feel we have failed to meet some moral, spiritual, educational, familial, occupational, or some other standard. It can range from severe mistreatment of someone to missing a Mass on Sunday. It can cause such things as depression, shame, anxiety, and anger. Really, the important thing is regret causes people so much grief when they have ingrained it into their very psyche and can't get over the negative and too often gnawing feelings of emotional pain it causes. This happens to some very sensitive people over small things, such as breaking a diet or legitimately standing up for self. Bigger problem areas of regret include such things as marital infidelity, lost career opportunities, and severe bullying. And if it's okay, Dave, I'd like to mention some of the things that we can do to overcome regret.
Sure, absolutely, because I'm hoping that some of them will apply here to the people who are listening today. I get the impression this is where you get people talking and sounding wistful about things in their life, not stuff that they've done, but things that maybe they feel like they can't right a certain wrong, and they're going to carry this, and that's a tough thing. It really is.
Well, that is true. And it's not even just a wrong; it can be like a life choice. Something you do. It's regretting things. But what we can do, we really just can't allow previous mistakes to rule the present and the future. We can't let the past be in control of the now. We need to put things in perspective. That's what we really need to do. Like, whoa, Nelly, let's not let something that happened before control now, particularly when we can't make changes in it. If we can make amends when possible. We want to be compassionate with self. We want to quit beating up on ourselves for mistakes that may have been made or perceived mistakes. We want to learn from past mistakes to help make better decisions as a person tries to seize the day, the old carpe diem, of course, in terms of his writings in ancient Rome. We want to update educational and life goals for the current life that we're living, not worrying about some decisions we didn't make in the past. And then we want to not catastrophize regrets, like, oh, that could never be overcome, or oh, me, or whatever it might be, because people do often catastrophize things. We want to put things in perspective. And then if we need to, we can seek out a trained therapist, somebody who can help us kind of wade through these things. But regrets are things so many people, everybody has to some degree, something we don't talk about a lot, or if we do, we're not necessarily thinking of it in that sense. But regrets are a major psychological hurdle for a lot of people. And, you know, each day you have is the day to use. This is the day you get up in the morning. You know, we're now March 1st, the Ides of March 1st. And what do? You know, we use today as best we can. If we're worrying about yesterday, then we certainly can't enjoy today, and we can't really plan today. We're wasting energy on things that, you know, there's nothing you can do. You can learn from the past. Don't make the same mistake, but you have to really move forward and really carpe diem, seize the day and enjoy it as best you can.
Now, see, you mentioned the Ides of March, and now you've mentioned Horace here in Carpe Diem, but I'll go across the sea there to Greece, and I'll throw in today Plato. I think it was Plato who said the unexamined life is not worth living, but he didn't mean to over-examine it and have regret over everything you've done. I mean, even Plato would say enough's enough, right? You're not living.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Are you able to get people over? I would think that this is one, either you get over this hump or you don't. It's not a process of you either learn to let that go in your past, or it's going to be your master for the rest of your days. It's got to be almost one or the other, doesn't it?
Well, that is really true. I remember Dave talking some years ago to a person who had been accepted to medical school, okay, and he didn't do it. He didn't go. For whatever the reason at the time, they said you could come a year later. Well, he ended up being successful in life, but he never could get over that because he made a decision. And I remember talking about it. I said, well, you know, you really can't redo that. You know, you've lived a life, you have a family, you've been successful. And to think about what you might have done is negative. I mean, you can try to talk to someone else if they're trying to make a decision and make sure, or help them make sure that the decision they make is the one that they want. But you can't redo that. Or there are people that are doing things now they wish they had done. Or there are people that had an opportunity to, say, go to Seattle or go to L.A. or go to Chicago, Detroit, and they didn't. And now they're wondering, golly, what might have happened. Or they took advantage of someone. They hurt someone. And then what do? And let's say the person is dead or gone or whatever, or there's no way to bridge the gap. Then that can cause grief also. So, you know, if you have regret, you just can't let it control you. You have to really take control of it. It's an emotion. It's right after love, one that's often talked about that people have and experience. So I think that it's just critical to not catastrophize, to become philosophical, actually. It happened, I did it, but try not to let the little things, like I broke my diet, so how horrible I am, or I didn't say hello to somebody, or I ignored this, or whatever it might be. People can have regret over tiny things, which is really horrible.
And then because they have a hard time prioritizing, and everything has the same kind of impact, which, of course, is not true in life. You know, there's things that really hit you like a gut punch, and other stuff, you know, I think you'll make it through. Well, I hate one extra cookie. You'll make it. I sense you're going to be okay. It's just, you know, your blood sugar may spike a little bit. You're going to be fine. Just don't have a cookie tomorrow. Things will balance out. You're right, though, what you say. And people dwell on this stuff. It ends up controlling them. And
it controls them.
You can say, look back. Yeah, in my career, did I have a chance to go, after being here, did I have a chance to go to some bigger markets? I did. Did I have one really great offer? I did. But you know what? Would my life have been demonstrably better? Could have been worse. Might have been. I'd have no idea. I'm happy with what I did. You can't. You could just sit there and bang your head against the wall on that. It's not going to do you any good. And you don't know. No one has that kind of foresight, that prescient. all-knowing that if I had done this or this, things would have been blah, blah, blah. You'd have no idea. You might have been hit by a beer truck crossing the street, going to get and sign the contract for the $1 million. You don't know that, right? Because we don't know in this world.
Well, Dave, I would have had regrets if you left, because I wouldn't have known you the last 30 years, and we wouldn't have done these last 7 years.
Oh, you would have been better off. No, you would have been better off.
50 episodes. Listen,
I know. I appreciate that, and that's nice of you to say. And likewise, but I mean, we make our choices in life. You know, I came here, Doc, to go to work at Channel 6 on weekends and some reporting and go to law school. But then I punted the law school because they promoted me over here. And if I had done the other, could I have been a good lawyer? Maybe, maybe not. Have I had a complete blast where I've been sports director, been around some of the most wonderful people and tremendous figures? And no, I don't regret that for a minute. It's been great.
In the fifth quarter.
Yeah, but all those, they all add up. I mean, those are all foundational things, but it's not like, well, he blew his opportunity, now he's got to live with it and look at the four walls. Are you kidding me? So
I think you just made a very good point, Dave. You can't replay life. All you can do, you can learn from the past. You can make amends if you've done wrong. You need to put in perspective. If you've done something or did something really inappropriate, very wrong, then that is something to have regret. And just don't do it again. Get over it as much as you can, but don't let the little things. See, you mentioned this before too. When people let a really small thing, I broke my diet, woe is me, and then we have a miserable day or week. No, just say, hey, I'm moving forward. I'm not going to let that control me. This is, by the way, it's much easier said than done, because people are often loaded with regrets over small and big things. I wish I had done that. Why didn't I do that? I can't do it. And often they can even accommodate in the present. They can just rechannel, reorganize, and do something similar to what they wanted, or even do it or take it up as a vocation, or an avocation, if not a vocation.
Absolutely.
So life is, as long as you're here kicking and you're out and about, you still have a chance to make differences in the world for yourself and for others. And hey, just enjoy it. Carpe diem, seize the day, move forward, and just enjoy life as much as you can, particularly as we start warming up now. Now, as we start getting into the spring, people are going to be enjoying it. And
actually feeling the sun, which we're doing now. It's not bad. And as you said, never forget this, put things into perspective and keep that perspective at all times. The good doctor here, Dr. John Braccio, drjohnb.com. That's the website to go. Hit the podcast. It'll be there very shortly. Regional Psychological Services. Always good to talk to you, my friend. Take care. Stay safe.
Same to you, David. We're in year 8.
Thank you. All right. We're right back on the Morning Wake Up, 1320 WILS.